Hello and welcome to Nana's Crafty Home. My name is Tanya. Today's tutorial is going to show you how to complete the So Long Summer scarf that you can find as a free pattern on my website. This is a fun scarf. I would say this is easy level for most crocheters that are familiar with the double crochet. And I'm going to also show you how to do the front post and the back post double crochet if you are not familiar with that. This pattern is also made with very large tassels that I sewed to either end of the scarf, which I just love, these big bulky tassels. You could certainly make that smaller if you desired. I did make this pattern with the Lion Brand Comfy Cotton Blend yarn, and you can see the fabulous colors that come in this new yarn by Lion Brand. My original scarf I made in colorway Soothing Lavender, and for today's tutorial I'm going to be using the Enchanting Embers color. So let's talk a little bit about the yarn itself. Lion Brand is stating that it is a medium 3-weight yarn. I would say that for me, I feel like this works up between a 3 and a 4. It feels a little more like a 4 than a 3 to me. It's really not going to matter much for this pattern. You can certainly use any yarn that you wish. For this, gauge isn't that important. You're just going to crochet to the size, to the length desired. You'll just stop when you've made enough rows to make it the size that you wish. The recommended hook for this pattern, as well as the yarn, is the size J, or a 6.0 millimeter hook. Of course, if you're making with this with a different weight yarn, you could certainly also make this with a different size hook to match the yarn that you are making your scarf in, because again, gauge is not terribly important with this project. This scarf has a lot of texture. I would say this is an easy level scarf featuring primarily double crochets. So we'll have rows of filet with a double crochet chain 1, and we will also be doing the front and back post double crochets as well to give it a nice ridge, so you get a lot of texture in this scarf. This is a fun pattern, a repetitive pattern. I think you're going to really enjoy this. So for the pattern, I did use 2 complete cakes. You could certainly make yours a little smaller than what mine ended up being, but I did use 2 full cakes for mine. So we're going to get our yarn here on our hook. And to get started, we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. We're going to complete 2 double crochets in the 3rd chain from the hook. So that furthest chain away from the hook, I'm going to do 2 double crochets in that same chain. Then chain 2. That chain 2 in each row is going to be what I call my corner space. It'll be that turning corner. Then I'm going to go ahead and do 3 double crochets in that same chain space. Okay, so that first row is complete. Those skipped chains count as my first stitch, so that's 1 stitch, 2 double crochets in this 3rd chain from the hook, so I have 3 stitches there, chain 2, which is now my corner space, and then 3 double crochets in the same chain space, which completes that first row. That is the right side of your scarf. All the ridges are going to fall on the same side of your scarf because you want all of those ridges to be visible when you're wearing it. So we're going to turn, and I'm going to chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. Double crochet in the same space. Now I'm going to do a front post double crochet around each stitch around each double crochet post from that previous row. So I'm going to do my double crochet by yarning over, and I'm going to insert my hook, and I'm going to go around that double crochet post from that previous row and complete my double crochet, yarning over, pulling up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through the last 2. And this really raises the, you can see that ridge over on the right side. Then I'm going to do another front post double crochet around the next stitch. And when I reach the corner space, which is that chain 2 from the previous row, I'm going to complete 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 double crochets, all in that same chain 2 space. Now I'm going to do a front post double crochet around each of those stitches till I get to the end of this row. So front post double crochet around that double crochet post, front post double crochet around the next stitch, and I've reached the end of that row. And remember, these are those skipped chains that we skipped in that first row. That counts as a stitch. So I'm going to be doing 2 double crochets in that top of the skipped chains, 1 double crochet and 2 double crochets, and that's the end of round 2. Remember, this is the back side of the work because my ridges are going to be on the right side of my scarf. So what I have for that round 2 is a chain 3 double crochet in the same stitch, front post double crochet around each stitch until we get to the chain 2 corner space. In the chain 2 corner space, I've got 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet, front post double crochet around each stitch, 2 double crochet in the last stitch or the top of the chain from the previous row. Turn our work. Do our first filet row. So we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That chain 4 is going to count as my first stitch plus a chain 1. So I'm going to double crochet in that same stitch. Chain 1, skip the next stitch. So this next stitch here, I'm going to skip it, and I'm going to double crochet in the next stitch. Chain 1, skip the next stitch, and double crochet in the next. Chain 1, skip the next stitch. So now I'm to the corner space, the chain 2 space, and I'm going to do again 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 double crochets in that same chain 2 space. Chain 1, skip the next stitch, double crochet in the next, chain 1, skip the next stitch, double crochet in the next, chain 1, skip the next stitch. I'm at my last stitch of my row, and these are the this is the chain 3 from the beginning of that last row, and I'm going to do a double crochet, chain 1, and a double crochet in that same stitch. We want every row to be the same. So that's my first filet with a chain 4, double crochet in the same space. Chain 1, skip a stitch, double crochet in the next, repeat that to the corner space, 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch, double crochet in the next, repeat that until we get to the last stitch, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and we're going to turn our work. Now before we turn our work, I want you to see just a little bit that this is where you're going to see on the right side all of your ridges that are, and it'll be easier to see as we move along in the pattern because of course this was just our first row. But those ridges are all going to be on that same side of the scarf. This side will be kind of smooth and flat. You won't have any raised rows on this side. So that's going to be a good way to tell if you're in the right place in your pattern as you're doing your repetitions. So go ahead and turn, and we're going to do row 4. At row 4, we're going to chain 3, double crochet in the same space, and essentially this row is just a row of double crochets. A double crochet in every chain 1 space, a double crochet in each stitch until we get to the chain 2 corner space. So after doing our chain 3 double crochet in that same stitch, I'm going to complete a double crochet in that next chain 1, and that next chain 1 is that chain 1 space from the double crochet, chain 1, double crochet in the last stitch. So don't forget that one when you're going through on this row. So double crochet in that chain 1 space, double crochet in the top of the next stitch, double crochet in the next chain 1 space, double crochet at the top of the next stitch, double crochet in the chain 1 space, double crochet in the top of the next stitch, double crochet in the next chain 1 space, double crochet the top of the next stitch, double crochet in the top of the next stitch. I'm in the corner space here, so in that corner space I'm going to do 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 double crochets. And again, down this side, I'm going to double crochet at the top of each stitch and in each chain 1 space. So double crochet in each stitch, double crochet in the chain 1 space, double crochet in the top of the stitch, double crochet in the chain 1 space, double crochet at the top of the next stitch, double crochet in the chain 1 space, double crochet in the top of the next stitch, double crochet in that chain 1 space. This is that chain 4 from the beginning of the last round. And you don't want to forget that that chain 1 space, you need to place a double crochet in there. And then in the top of that chain 3, you're going to do 2 double crochets. And that is row 4. The beginning of the row, you're going to do a chain 3 and double crochet in the same space, double crochet along the side to the corner in each chain 1 space, and on top of each double crochet stitch till you get to the corner. In the corner, 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet, and again double crochet in each stitch in each chain 1 space till we get to the last stitch. And remember, don't forget that last chain 1, 2 double crochet the top of that chain 3. Let's turn our work for row 5. Chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, double crochet in the same stitch. Now we're going to work a back post double crochet. And the reason we're working a back post double crochet is because we want the ridge to be on the same side as that previous back post row that we did, and in order to do that I need to do a back post double crochet instead of a front post double crochet. So you're going to do a double crochet around the next stitch. From behind, you're going to insert your hook, go around that double crochet stitch from the previous row, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2 to complete the double crochet. And you're going to do that around each stitch, a back post double crochet, inserting your hook from behind to complete it. And what's going to happen by doing a back post double crochet all the way to the corner in each stitch is it's going to make a ridge. All the way down that side. A back post double crochet. And you'll see what it looks like here in a minute. So I've done a back post double crochet around every stitch. And what that did, look at this lovely ridge that made. It made a very nice textured raised stitch for that row. And I'm going to get that every single time I do a back or a front post double crochet. You're going to get this nice raised ridge. So when we get to the corner space, I'm going to do a 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet in that same space. And again, down that entire side here, I'm going to want to do a back post double crochet around each stitch. So again, inserting your hook from behind and around that double crochet, yarning over, pulling up a loop, and then completing your double crochet. Okay, so we've reached the last stitch, and remember this is that chain 3 from the previous row, and I'm going to do 2 double crochets in the top of that chain 3. And let's take a look at that. So that's really creating a lot of visual interest with that raised ridge. And you're going to be doing that ridge with either a back post or a front post double crochet, and all of the ridges are going to stay on the same side of your scarf, really creating a nice texture. So we've completed row 5. We're going to do another, turn your work, you're going to do another row of filet. So again, chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and your filet rows are going to be the same. You're going to double crochet in the same stitch, chain 1, skip the next stitch, double crochet in the next, chain 1, skip the next stitch, double crochet in the next, chain 1, and repeat that to the corner. Skip the next stitch, double crochet in the next, chain 1, skip the next stitch, double crochet in the next. Skip that last stitch, we're in our corner space, 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet, chain 1, repeat that all the way down till we get to the last stitch. Skip the next stitch, double crochet in the next, so we skip that next stitch, we're in the last stitch, which is that chain 3 from the previous row. We chained 1, and we're going to do a double crochet, chain 1, and double crochet in that last stitch. So we've completed row 6. We're going to turn our work for row 7. And again, this is another double crochet row. So we chain 3, 1, 2, 3, double crochet in that same stitch, double crochet in each chain 1 space, and in each stitch to the corner. And don't forget that first chain 1 space. In our corner, we're going to do 2 double crochet, chain 2, and 2 double crochets. And then along this side as well, we're going to double crochet in each stitch. And in each chain 1 space to the last stitch. Don't forget that last chain 1 there, and then 2 double crochets in the top of that chain 3 from the previous row. Alright, so now we're to our repetition. So we're going to go back and pick up repeating rows 2 through 7. And I ended on a row 5, which was the back post double crochet, but you could certainly end yours on any row desired. It's entirely up to you. You can use 2 cakes, 1 cake, different yarns. The variations are many. You could even stripe it if you wish. So what you're going to do for that next row, by doing row 2 through 7, we're going to turn our work. So again, now we're at the front post. So row 2 through 7 is what we're going to be repeating. And row 2 is our front post double crochet row. And when you're doing those front and back post double crochets, it's going to be an alternating. So if you did the front post double crochet row last, the next one you're going to do is the back post double crochet, and so on. But all the other repeats are the same throughout the pattern. So really the only thing you have to remember is your ridges need to all be on the same side. So wherever that ridge needs to be is decides whether you're going to be doing the front post or the back post double crochet. And so that's an easy way to remember where you're at in your pattern, is by looking to see where all of the ridges are. But for row 2, you would come in and do your front. So for row 2, you would just come back here and do your front post double crochet row, which is a chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, double crochet in the same stitch, and a front post double crochet in each stitch to the corner. And a front post double crochet is inserting your hook from the front and around that double crochet from the previous row and completing your double crochet, creating that ridge on the other side of your work. So go ahead and continue on in your pattern, repeating rows 2 through 7 to the desired size for your shawl. When I come back, I will show you this shawl completed, and I will go ahead and weave in my ends, and I will show you how to make those giant tassels for your scarf. Alright, so now that I've completed my scarf, I want to go ahead and make those large tassels for both ends of the scarf. Of course, the tassels are completely optional, but I really like that nice finish that these tassels give to this fun scarf. So if you're going to go ahead and make them as mine are for my pattern, what I did is I used approximately an 8-inch tall item. It can be a piece of cardboard. As you can see here, I have a thin book that I'm wrapping around, but basically you're just going to be wrapping around that item for the specified amount of times, or however large you want to make your tassels. The more times you wrap, the chunkier your tassel is going to be. The shorter or taller your item is, the shorter or taller your tassel will be as well. Bear in mind that the height that you choose to wrap is the approximate height that your tassel will be. So my tassels will be approximately 8 inches, probably a little less once I tie it off and trim the edges, but that makes for a very long tassel. So you could certainly go shorter if you wished. It's entirely up to you, but I'm going to just show you the basic concept of how to make a tassel. So you're going to go ahead and take your cardboard or your book, whatever you're using, and you're going to loosely wrap the number of times that you wish. For mine, I'm doing approximately 70 times around. I only had a bit of yarn left. This is about what I had left of my last cake. So I'm going to try to guesstimate how much I'm going to need to make the equivalent size tassels, and I would say 70 is going to be about right. So just take your first edge, your first end of your yarn, and have it come to the very bottom edge of whatever you're wrapping around, and then just start loosely wrapping the specified number of times, and of course it's going to be 70 for this one. And when I say loosely, the reason why I say that is if you pull really tightly, it's going to pull your fiber. What will end up happening is when we go to cut this tassel, it's going to spring back into shape instead of where the stretch is at. So your tassel is going to end up being significantly shorter than what you would hope it to be because you've stretched out that fiber and it's snapped back into place once you've removed it from the item. Plus it makes it a lot easier to remove it from your cardboard if you don't have it wrapped so tightly. So go ahead and we're going to wrap 70 times here. So 1, 2, 3, 68, 69, and 70. So I've wrapped it 70 times around my book here. And what you're going to want to do is carefully remove. First we're going to cut. I'm going to go ahead and cut that end off. And I'm going to just gently and carefully just remove that from the book, keeping this round circle shape here. You're going to cut 3 extra pieces of yarn, approximately 10 to 12 inches long. And the reason why I do them longer than what my tassel is because once I've used it to tie, I'm going to want them to be approximately the same length as my tassel, so they're not significantly shorter, because I'm going to use 2 of the pieces to tie, and then 1 of the pieces will be used to attach it to my scarf and then weave in the ends. And I want to make sure that that's long enough to be able to do that well. I don't have anything to measure, so I'm just going to guesstimate. I know that's 8 inches, so I'm going to go back about halfway. There's 1. There's 2. And there's 3 pieces of yarn. All right, so once you've removed your yarn circle from your book or your cardboard, you're going to take one of your 12-inch pieces that you cut in order to attach this to your scarf. What you're going to do is take one of those pieces and you're going to thread that through the top part of the circle. So this is the one you're going to use to attach your tassel. So thread that through the hoop, and you're just going to tie that off really tightly at the top. And and knot that off. Okay, so that's going to be the yarn that you use to attach the tassel to your work. Then what you're going to do is take another one of those pieces, lengths of yarn that you cut, and about 1 inch or so below where you just attached the other yarn, you're going to tie that as well. Make sure and not bring in that yarn you're going to use to attach it. So about 1 inch or so. You can just eyeball it or measure if you wish. You could even do it down further if you wanted to, but for mine about 1 inch or so down from the bottom. And you're just going to, again, tie that off very tightly. Oops. And knot it. And then just to make double sure that that is secure, I come back with that last piece and do the same thing in the same spot. All right. So now what you want to do, and doesn't this look like a little doll? So then you're going to take your scissors, and this area down below, you want to cut that as evenly as possible. And then you can go through and trim any fringy pieces that you end up with. Oh, and I missed a couple. Trim that. Perfect. So just make 2 of these in the exact same way. See, look how nice and big these turn out to be. I just love these. Big and chunky. So make a second one exactly the same way, and when I come back, I will show you how to attach this to your scarf and weave in the ends. Alright, so when you have 2 tassels ready to go, made sure that they're even in length, fringe has been shaved to where everything looks even, and we are ready to attach one of these to our scarf. So you're going to be attaching on either end of the wingspan. The V in the front I did not add a tassel to. If you wanted to add a tassel to that V front, you're going to have to do fewer rows in order to have enough yarn left over to do that 3rd tassel, or you'll have to break into a 3rd cake. But that is certainly an option. But for my pattern, I added tassels only to the 2 wingspan ends. So what you'll do is take your ends that you have left from tying it at the top and attach that to your, and you can do this individually, you could attach one at a time. I'm going to go ahead and add them both together and then weave them in separately. So it's a really simple thing of just attaching those right to the end and securing them tightly. So I'm going to come back around a few different times to make sure that these are securely attached to the end of my scarf. Once I've done that, I can go ahead and weave in those ends so they are hidden. And I do that individually. And when I weave in ends, I try to go through some of the fibers. That helps that end to stay secure in your work and not come loose. Go different directions, back and forth, kind of a zigzag. That also helps that end to stay tucked where you want it to be. Once you feel that it is secure in there, go ahead and cut that end off. And go ahead and weave in the second end. Once you've done that, go ahead and attach your tassel, your second one, to the other side of your scarf. When I come back, I'll show you my completed scarf. So there you have it, the So Long Summer Scarf, a wonderfully textured, easy scarf, wonderful to add to your fall wardrobe. If you enjoy my patterns, please remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel to get notified when I post a new video. You could certainly find me at my website, nannascraftyhome.com, where you will also find this free written pattern for you if you would like it in written form. You can find me on Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, Instagram, and Ravelry. So I hope you have a great day. I will see you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.